Yeah, unfortunately, boys, it ends there. Chelsea's European adventure for the season ends with a 2-0 defeat here at Real Madrid, 4-0 on aggregate. Dan, I'll let you rest your voice for a second because you're on second half commentary. Zach, the game plan you could see in the first half seemed to be working almost to a T. If N'Golo tucks that in inside 10 minutes, if Cucurella on the stroke of half time can find a way past Courtois, then we're talking about Frank Lampard being a tactical genius and everything's all rosy and blue. However, football often has a way of coming back to bite you.
If buts and maybes. I mean, I feel like we've done this a lot this season. How many times we've come out of a game and gone, you know what, if we could score a goal, if we could take our chances. Chelsea had enough chances today. We really did, to at least to have scored 3 goals, to be quite honest. There was some exceptional keeping as well from Thibaut Courtois and also Kepa Arrizabalaga as well. But I think you sit there and you go, you know what, we had chances, we had our moments. And from that point of view, because against, say, Brighton on the weekend, we didn't have chances. We weren't creating anything. And from here, we had clear-cut ones. We had a game plan. I thought the fact that Reece James wasn't really playing right wing-back. He was playing a right winger role. He was one of our furthest forward players. Kante pressing like there was no tomorrow. Conor Gallagher doing what he does best as well, giving them no time in that first half. And they created so many opportunities for us. We just didn't put them away. And again, we've said that a lot this season.
Unfortunate truth is as well, when you're playing a team like Real Madrid, you need things to go your way, but also you have to be ruthless. You have to be, we spoke about it before the game, Dan. This team won 15 Champions League trophies. We're talking about a team that are perennial winners, that know how to get it done over 2 legs in big European sides. Dismantled Liverpool at Anfield this side. Absolutely ran and riot. They've been to the Camp Nou this season and won 4-0. This is a team that, if you give a sniff to, they'll finish her, and unfortunately that's what happened.
Well, the reality is it's Real Madrid, and they score far more often than they do not score. I think that is the 17th time this season we have not scored. So it's a common theme for us this season. We're making the chances. Sometimes we deserve far more than we actually leave with. But let's be honest, we've just played them and lost 4-0 on aggregate. And we've had chances, but for whatever reason, the confidence may be a little bit short or whatever. There were times where even we dispossessed them, bang on their own box, and we pass rather than shoot. And sometimes that's absolutely the right decision. I prefer to be angry with somebody for shooting when they should pass, but I think we want to score the perfect goal or be absolutely sure that this is going to hit the back of the net. We need to shoot more. We need to pose more, because we get in good areas, and we do pose a threat. But then that final bit, it's almost like either a misjudgment or a lack of confidence or whatever it is, but we're not ruthless, we're not clinical. And at this level, and at any top flight level, you're going to pay.
Look, against a team like Real Madrid, you can maybe afford to do that in chances. But against Real Madrid, if you don't take your chances, this is a team with the likes of Benzema, with Vinicius Junior, with Modric, with Kroos, with players that have been there and done that and seen and played against in games like this. And if you don't take their chances against them, they're going to take chances against you. And all they need is one. All they need is one. We see it. They have that one opportunity. And sometimes, because they know that we need to go score a goal, we're pushing further. More gaps are left in behind for players like Vinicius and that to run onto. Pat said it in the commentary. They're going to possibly get a chance or two. But if we're not also scoring ours and then giving them 1 or 2 chances, which they in the end put away, then it's going to bite us.
Is there now a question, Dan, that we have to be perhaps a little bit more creative with our recruitment in terms of going and finding an answer to not scoring goals? Because we've got to be brutally honest now. The best players in the world, they don't wait for teams to qualify for Champions League football. If you've not got Champions League football, you're not that attractive at the moment. And we have to be realistic. There'll be teams. The horrible truth is there are 2 teams in London at the moment that probably will be, or potentially will be, playing Champions League football next year that will be competing with. So I'm not looking for a specific answer, but does it maybe need to be sort of either systemic in terms of the way that Chelsea play going forward, like a Man City with a false 9 and that's your system and you build into that culture, or do you just have to be a little bit more creative at the names that are usually at the top of the shortlist?
I think you have to be far more creative. I think we've been accused of throwing a checkbook around as and when we need to, but it doesn't suit everyone. And then all of a sudden you've got an expensive asset there that perhaps doesn't suit a manager's plans or style of play. We have to be very creative, and we have to be. I think we have to be quite honest with what the culture of the club will be. If a manager's coming in and it's a project, and you have to be able to put a trust in him essentially to be able to pick perhaps who he wants. But listen, this is all above my head, you know. Listen, I've only won a university championship, I'll be honest. But, you know, I think we do have to be creative because, especially now that we don't have Champions League football, Chelsea is always going to be an attraction, but the top players want to play on a Wednesday night, on a Tuesday night. But there's gems out there. We see other teams. We see Brighton do it all the time. There are gems absolutely everywhere.
Look, I mean, we've got Datro Fofana. We're unlucky this season that we didn't have Broja as well. I mean, these are two players that will hopefully next season have bigger roles in the side, especially Broja. I think at the beginning of this season we felt like we were going to be talking about him possibly starting lots of games, and it looked like that was going to happen. And unfortunately, he got an injury as well. Whilst I do agree that Champions League football is obviously something that players are looking at, I actually think nowadays it's not the biggest thing. I think players now look long term. I think it's all about the project you can sell them. Arsenal this season won the Champions League, and they went and got Gabi Jesus and Zinchenko off of Premier League title winners to go and play in the Europa League. I think it's all about the way you pitch it to them, the way you propose a project to them. And I think that's what players care about more nowadays. Look, if a player's like 30 years old and they've never played in the Champions League, it's slightly different. But I think if it's a young guy or somebody that sees themselves at a club for 4 to 5 years, I think you can pitch them something where, look, all right, we're not going to be in the Champions League this year. We might not even be in European competition. But one that allows us to bet everybody in for the whole season and believe everybody to keep going and to make something of that campaign. You think of when Antonio Conte took over in 2016. There was no European football then, and you were able to just kind of build on your team and focus on the league in that season. And I think that's something you can do with whether a Broja, whether a Fofana, whether an Nkunku, who could possibly be coming in as well. So I think there are lots of options, and maybe it is even a new kind of Kai Havertz under a different kind of tactical system. I really think there are lots of options that don't just rely on us getting Champions League.
I agree. I do think we just have an absolutely humongous squad. And I know everyone remembers the Conte years, but you could pretty much wake up and just know what that team was going to be. You know, there were obviously 23 squad players and the rest of them, but you could pretty much know who was going to be on the team sheet if they were available.
You could name 9 now, couldn't you?
Football, yeah, exactly, yeah. And football, I think now has become, possibly because the amount of games and the time needed in between games, more of a squad game, more of a squad sport, I guess, where, you know, it's just a few years ago where players would play 38 out of 38 Premier League games a season, you know this, and we can go back to that. It's hard because we now have a squad of 100, but as in, you could essentially, you know, when you're playing just the Premier League.
It's been a tough year as well, though, with the World Cup in between. Like, it's been a season of a very different to what we normally kind of expect to. Obviously, you've had the Club World Cup and so on and so forth. Like, there have been so many different things that obviously that was the season previous, but that all accounts into how much football players are playing nowadays, and sometimes that's why you need the bigger squad.
What is this season now then, boys? Because, you know, we're out of Champions League. European football looks like it's still a glimmer, you know. You're looking at the Conference League, Europa League. It's still there. It's still a possibility. But the running that we have, you know, you can't dodge any punches with that. You've got to go to the Etihad and get something. You've got to go to Old Trafford and get something. Newcastle here on the final day, they could be competing for anything at that point.
I can't work out what I prefer. Honestly, I can't. I can't work out if I prefer for us to be in the conference.
Yeah, all day. Tbilisi away next Thursday night. Next year.
It does sound good.
I mean,
but you know, there are teams that really do benefit from having the whole week to prepare for a Premier League game. I wonder if that's us. We've spent so many years in the Champions League, having Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday, all of these kind of fixtures, that I wonder what this means for the squad as a whole.
Look, I think it depends on several things, right? Like, in terms of Reece James, for instance, right? Say, what is the level of injury? If there is one, I don't know. But if it's like, okay, will he benefit more from not playing or having a longer time on the bench? Or, I don't know, if there's a player that needs surgery, for instance, so you can have that now. I think the other side of it is you've got every game's a final. I think like the fans want to see you go and win a game. They want to see you score goals. They want to see something from these players. They want to see the likes of maybe Mudryk trying to get used to and get accustomed to the league. I mean, right now, someone like Mudryk, it'd be good for him to feel comfortable for whoever's in charge next season, or for whatever the squad is next season, so that he's already kind of found his feet in the Premier League without having to kind of feature more in the new season. There are lots of ways that we could go about it. I don't necessarily think one is wrong and one is right. I think maybe it's a bit of both.
What I will say tonight as well, and you have to credit the Chelsea fans not only for the noise they made before the game,
Wow.
but even at full time tonight, there was Thiago Silva, Reece James, Wesley Fofana, 3 or 4 other players that did full laps of Stamford Bridge, and every single one of them got rapturous applause, little chorus of their own personalised song.
Fans were amazing, honestly.
And again, you know, it's very easy. All 3 of us are Chelsea fans, and you do feel slightly deflated about things not going your way tonight. But to stay right to the end, to give your players the ovation they deserve, because they got credited. They put a shift in tonight, fans and players alike.
Me and you were stood outside Stamford Bridge, and we were saying, you know what, the fans need to support the players today. They need to give them, they need to be that 12th man. And they were. Honestly, they were. Every tackle, every chance, every pass, every time they dribbled past someone, every sprint, the fans were loving it. There were times when we were doing the commentary in the first half, I was taking my headphones off because I was like, are they that loud, or am I just hearing it wrong? And it was crazy. It really was. So yeah, full credit to themselves. I hope everyone gets home safe.
Yeah, good performance from them, certainly in the stands this evening. Let's have a little look what's coming up on the 5th stand-up for you then. Next couple of days, still plenty of football to keep you occupied, including a massive under-18s Premier League game at the weekend against Crystal Palace, and then bit of Monday night derby action for you in the PL2. Chelsea take on Spurs. You can join us both for those live and free on the 5th stand-up, Chelsea's YouTube and all that good stuff as well. Boys, I'm going to need one word for you from you then to sum up this evening. Go on, Dan.
Sad. Out of the Champions League.
All right,
sad.
yeah,
It's
sad.
unfortunate.
Disappointing. It's just a synonym of sad, I guess.
Out of the Champions League.
Word as well.
It's tough.
Synonym's a
isn't it?
great word to pull out of this later night. Good work, boys. Yeah. Unfortunately, Chelsea's European adventure does finish there. And like we said before the game, you can never count Chelsea out. We'll be back. We don't know when, but we'll be back. And trust me, Europe's Elite will be on alert when we are. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening.